follow your passion, stay true to yourself, never follow someone else's path unless you're in the woods and you're lost and you see a path, then by all means you should follow that. Don't give advice. It'll come back and bite you when they ask. Don't take anyone's advice. So my advice to you is to be true to yourself and everything will be fine.
Truer words were never spoken, and they stem from real experience. There are few people who know the importance of being true to yourself better than the subject of our podcast, Ellen Degeneres. Before she became internationally known as a comedian, published author, actress, and host of her award-winning talk show, Ellen struggled with finding success and finding herself in a maze of everyone else's paths. In this brief, biographical podcast, we will dive into Ellen's early life and education, later life and challenges, and ultimately the paths that led to her numerous achievements in media. Ellen, or Elle as her mother liked to call her, was born in Metairie, Louisiana on January 26, 1958. Not exactly what you would think of as the birthplace of someone rich and powerful, and you would be right. Ellen's family, her parents, Betty and Elliot, and her brother, Vance, were modest, middle-class people, according to Ellen in her book, The Funny Thing Is. In her book, Ellen explains that she herself was quiet and reserved, preferring to spend her time riding her bike and playing with the neighborhood animals. The children were raised as Christian Scientists. That is, their parents did not believe in using medicine, vaccinations, or doctors in hospitals, instead believing that the only healing power they needed was prayer. This made things difficult for quiet young Ellen as the family moved around quite a bit for Elliot's job. Making new friends and trying to fit in somewhere new every year was difficult enough without having to explain why you couldn't get in line for vaccinations or take science classes with your peers. According to Ellen, this inability to fit in caused her to gain weight and she experienced mild depression. Despite these difficulties, though, Ellen maintained a strong bond with her mother and kept a positive and happy attitude. In 1972, Ellen's parents got divorced because her mother no longer wanted to be a Christian Scientist. This difficult transition laid the foundation for her love of comedy, as she realized the power, necessity, and importance of humor. After high school, Ellen was clueless as to what she wanted to do with her future. She spent one long summer as a communications student, working a variety of odd jobs and learning the valuable skill of talking to people and making them laugh. According to Franklin Ajay in his book, Comic Insights, The Art of Stand-Up Comedy, Ellen's first stand-up gig came in 1980 when she entertained a group of college kids in a friend's garage. As a result of the positive feedback following her performance, Ellen took a job as an MC at Flawed's Comedy Corner in the evenings. This gave her a chance to watch and learn from other comedians, and she began to think that maybe this was something she could do too. As she grew older and continued to pursue her stand-up hobby, Ellen experienced new challenges that tested the limits of her humor and her positive attitude. In 1974, her mother got remarried to a man only referred to as B by Ellen in her biography by Katie Sharp. B was a horrible husband and an even worse stepfather to Ellen and Vance. As a result, Ellen went to live with her father in New Orleans. Ellen revealed to her mother much later that B was physically and sexually abusive throughout her young adult years. To her dismay, her mother continued to stay married to him for several years after Ellen confided in her, according to Ellen in her book, My Point, and I Do Have One. To make matters worse, in 1975, her mother developed breast cancer. B authorized a mastectomy without Betty's knowledge or consent, and Ellen put her career on hold to help her mother through the difficult recovery. Ellen also struggled with her sexuality. She had a few nameless boyfriends growing up, but in 1976 finally realized that she was attracted to women and could ignore it no longer, according to Ellen in her interview with Frank Ajay. She fell in love with a woman named Kat, and the two dated happily for several years. In 1978, Ellen made the difficult decision to come out to her parents about her sexuality. She received mixed reactions. Her mother, always loving and supportive, was true to her nature despite being confused and finding it difficult to understand. B was less forgiving. Ellen's birth father, Elliot, also had difficulty accepting the news. Afraid Ellen's sexuality would harm their two younger daughters, he and his new wife asked her to move out. Ellen was, as she says in her book, crushed. Ellen's comedy career was also becoming a struggle because of her gender. In her interview with Frank Aget, Ellen details her harrowing experiences being on stage as a woman. In the beginning it was harder because there were very few women, she says. It was still looked at like you should either be singing or taking your clothes off. People, even women, were very intimidated by a woman on stage. The amount of rude spectators and heckling was enough to make Ellen want to quit altogether, but she kept pushing forward. However, things went from bad to worse for the struggling comedian. In 1981, her girlfriend Kat was killed in a car accident that Ellen felt she could have prevented had they not been fighting that evening. Broke and devastated, she was forced to move into a tiny, flea-ridden apartment in a bad part of New Orleans and began questioning her life's purpose. Overwhelmed with grief and anger, she poured out her feelings into the comedy bit that would be the turning point of her career, a phone call to God.
Wouldn't it be great if we could just pick up the phone and call up God and ask him these things? Just pick up the phone and call up God. Yeah, hi, God. This is Ellen. Ellen. Degeneres. Degeneres. What's so funny? No, I never thought of that. It does sound like that, doesn't it? I get it. Yeah, listen, if you weren't too busy... Sure, hold on. Somebody's at the gate. Onward, Christian soldiers. Yeah, just sing along to your tape. That's It's not a tape. They're good. They're great. Yeah. Listen, there are certain things on this earth I just don't understand why they're here. No, not Charo. No. But there are certain things like insects. No, bees are great. The honey, that's clever. Yeah. I was thinking more about fleas. They seem to have no benefit. No, I didn't realize how many people were employed by the flea collar industry. Not to mention sprays. Well, yeah, I guess you're right. Of course you are. Of course you are. Being who you are. Yeah. Oh, you got a little cold. God bless you. Or bless yourself. Bless yourself. Oh, I'm still doing that comedy. You got a joke for me? Oh, I'd love to hear it. Uh-huh. Now, I got time. Of course, you would know that more than me, huh? That was a joke. Go ahead. Who's there? God who? Godzilla. Oh, incredibly funny. Huh? Yeah. Yeah, and another one, sure. Who's there? God who? Got a dime. No, I don't have time for another one. No. Okay. Yeah, I just remembered an appointment I have to get to, so I gotta go. How about that? God who? Gotta go? Cute? Stupid. All righty. It was good talking to you, too. And I'll talk to you later. Thank you very much.
Following this appearance on Johnny Carson in 1986, Ellen's career really began to take off. She continued to tour the country as the funniest person in America, and eventually landed a role on the TV show Open House in 1989. The show only ran for one season, but it was enough to whet her appetite and leave her wanting more. In 1992, she landed another sitcom role on the show Laurel Hill. This one ran for only 5 weeks. Just after the cancellation of Laurel Hill, however, Ellen signed a deal with ABC to star in her own show, These Friends of Mine. As the show gained popularity, Ellen said goodbye to stand-up comedy in favor of comedic acting. This show would eventually be renamed Ellen. Although her career was now on the right track to success, Ellen's struggles were far from over. She decided that she wanted to come out about her sexuality to the public, something that was all but unheard of and something her mother and her producers feared would ruin her career. Nevertheless, she and her TV character came out together in a 1996 episode of Ellen titled The Puppy Episode. Ellen faced a lot of controversy after she and her character came out, including threats, protests, and homophobia. However, she also received positive feedback from people she had given hope and courage. The public accepted Ellen and her sexuality, and her sitcom ran successfully for another 2 years. Ellen's career only went uphill from there, and her achievements in media are numerous and vast. In 2003, Ellen was offered her own daytime talk show that still runs and is popular today. After the show's 5th season, it had accumulated 25 Daytime Emmy Awards and had won the award for Outstanding Talk Show 4 years in a row. In 2009, the show celebrated its 1,000th episode. The Ellen DeGeneres Show is now well known and loved by fans all over the world. Ellen also became a published author, sharing her experiences with the public. She published her first book, My Point, and I Do Have One, in 1995, and it soon reached #1 on the New York Times bestseller list. Her second and third books, The Funny Thing Is, and Seriously, I'm Kidding, were published in 2003 and 2011 respectively. Ellen's newest book, Home, The Art of Effortless Design, was recently published in 2015 as a response to public requests for decorating tips from the talk show host. In addition to her success on TV and on paper, Ellen also appeared in various Hollywood films throughout her career. These movies included Mr. Wrong in 1996, Goodbye Lover in 1998, Ed TV and The Love Letter in 1999, and Reaching Normal in 2001. Perhaps Ellen's most famous movie gig was in 2003 when she gave a voice to Dory in the Pixar film Finding Nemo. Ellen DeGeneres now holds numerous awards in various categories, including the Johnny Carson Producers of the Year Award in 2005 and 2006, Best Daytime Talk Show Host from Parade.com readers, Favorite TV Personality from the Harris Poll, and Most Powerful Gay Celebrity from Out magazine. She also won awards for Favorite Daytime Talk Show Host and Favorite Funny Female Star at the People's Choice Awards 4 years in a row, and was asked to host the Primetime Emmys following September 11, 2001. It was there that she used her delicate humor to help America laugh again. Finally, Ellen has topped Oxygen's list of 50 funniest women alive and was included in Time Magazine's 100 most influential people. Growing up and finding who she wanted to be was not an easy journey for the now famous comedian and TV star. It took talent, courage, and extreme determination to get where she is today. Ellen herself perhaps summarized it best when she said in a 2004 interview, "It's amazing to me that I have achieved what I've achieved. Nothing has been easy. Not one step of the way has been easy. I'm really proud that I am strong because I didn't think I was." At the end of every single episode of her talk show, Ellen gives us all the best advice we could possibly take with us each day, advice that we can assume comes from her years of hardship and making her way in the world. Be kind to one another. I am certain that she means it wholeheartedly.